Hello, welcome all. Welcome in another important video in our Node.js course. In this video, we'll be looking into concept called debug. So let's understand how debug works and how it will help us to work with Node.js. So let me go inside of the browser and let me quickly open any random website. Let's say google.com. So while developing any front-end application, we get chance to inspect it. So this is nothing but developer tools. It helps us to get more information about the URL which we have opened in our browser. So currently I have google.com open. So as you can see, this all code in elements is HTML code of google.com. If I go inside of console, there is no console right now, but if the URL you have opened is printing something on console, you will get to see that in console message. Also the same thing with source, network, performance, memory and application. These are all tabs which gives you more information about the URL which you have opened. That is good thing for developers because while developing an application, we always need to understand how our flow is working and as well as if there, is there any error is occurring or not. So same thing we need in our Node.js as well also. So let's imagine the situation where you have four functions and function 1 is dependent on function 2 and function 2 is dependent on function 3 and function 3 is dependent on function 4. Okay, so now you are getting error in your code and you want to find out the root cause of it. So how will you find it? Well, in traditional way, you will simply go inside each function and put some consoles, and with that console message, you will get to know that yes, function 2 has some problem or maybe function 3 has some problems. This is very traditional way and it is not the right way to deal with these problems because putting a console is kind of extra efforts and it is also time consuming. All right, so best way to find out problem in the code is debug. So debugger basically helps us to stop entire flow at particular point. So let's say you will start with function 1 obviously because function 1 is our main function which is calling all other functions. So when you are starting with function 1, you will simply hold your application up to function 1, and once you're done with function 1 is working perfectly fine, then you can move that operation to function 2 and then function 3 and function 4. So now the flow is in your hand. Otherwise, if you simply run function 1 and it will simply start working and you have no control over any execution of the function, so you cannot find out or figure out is there any problem in F3 or F2. So for that reason we require debugger. Alright, so let's understand how it works. So let me go inside browser. If you search debug library, you will see this library. You just have to copy this and install it in your working directory. Okay, so I have already done that, so I'm not going to do it again. Okay, after installing debug library, just have to import this. Like this. Okay, and always make sure that you are getting access to that library. So after that, create one more variable. Now this time you can decide which debug you want. You can write different type of debugs. Let's say if you want to write error debug, you want to write normal debugs and information debugs, you can do that. So let's start with creating error debug. So I'm going to go here. Let's say error is equal to debug, and this is a function, and in that just have to pass error. You can also create your info debug. Let's do that as well, and now this time pass info inside of the function. So now we have two different types of debug. So let's say how we can use it. So I'm gonna write one simple set interval and I'm gonna give it 1 second timeout, and then inside of function I'll simply use one console message. Let's say first message. Okay, and let's make it set timeout. Okay, and here I will simply use this error. So this is an error. Inside of this error debug I'll pass F1, let's say F1. Okay, so now we are good up to this point. Let's try to execute this. So if I go here and I simply use node app.js, but you might have observed here that it simply gave me a message. It really doesn't stop me it didn't stop me at this point, which is expected, right? It is because we haven't really enabled one flag. So if you want to debug your operation, you will simply have to put debug in front of it. So you can write it like debug and then put star for now, node app.js. So as you can see here, we got our debug message here. Okay, so if you want to filter out, let me use this debug as well. So after put printing message, I want info and let's put F2. Okay, so let me clear this, and if I rerun this, as you can see here, we got error debug message and then our console and then our info message. If you want to just filter out by error message, you can do like this. Okay, so if you want to filter out only info message, see, so you haven't got error message. Okay, so this type of operations you can do with debug. well this this setup is working for you, you can stop here. Or if you want to know more about your application, let me tell you one more way through which you can create and inspect elements. This is just an console messages, all right? We haven't really get something like this inspect tools. Okay, it is giving a lot of different options. Let's say console and then the network tab, because we are working on a backend, so we cannot really see any type of Devtools here. So can we use Devtools to inspect our server side code? Yes, surely we can. So all we need to do here is, let me quickly change some code. Let me create one simple Node.js server. So Express.js, let's say I want my server to be run on port number 300, and let me put one simple console message here. Okay, so this is our simple server setup in a Node.js using Express.js. Here I want to set up debug. So let's first run this. Okay, now our server is up and running. So now we want exact same type of Devtools for our server code. So here we can use inspect. So instead of using debug, we are going to use inspect flag. So let's say inspect app.js. So as you can see, the moment I use this inspect flag, I get this type of output in my console. It is saying that something it has started at this port number 9229. So let's see how we can make use of it. If you might have observed, it is not an HTTP request, it is WS, which is nothing but WebSocket. So socket helps to connect our client to the server directly. So whichever the changes we are going to make here, it will be available on that port number. Okay, so we have one made mistake here. Let me just quickly. Okay, so let me just restart this. So the question is, if I open this URL inside browser directly, let me do that. So if I open this directly here, it will not allow me to open it directly because extension or protocol is different. So there are two different ways to open this WebSocket URL in our browser. Let's see our first way. So I can simply go here inside Chrome and put this URL. So it is Chrome : // and then the inspect. So if I click on enter button, I'll get this type of UI in front of us. You just have to click on this configure. Now it will give you different port numbers. You will get all this information about port number here. So WebSocket is running at 9229. So let me go inside 9229 and I'll simply click on done. So as you can see, this type of message you will get to see here. So you can click on this inspect and now we are good to go. So we get our console here. As you can see, this is the same console which we got here. Okay, and let me put one console message here so that we can clearly see it is working. Request got. Okay, so let me restart this, or maybe I can simply go inside the browser, and if I use this URL, okay, so I need to restart this first of all because changes will not directly reflect here. Then follow the same process, go inside this, configure, and then click on the inspect. Okay, so now it is working. Let me refresh this page. See, we got our console message. Another thing you can do here is, this is our app.js code. You can put debug message. You can put debug points here. So let me put one debug point here. So whenever I'll call one request, it will stuck here. Okay, so let me do that. See, you can see that it has this part of code is highlighted. That means a request has not completed yet. If you see on the browser, this is our old message actually, and our page is still loading. So that means request is not fulfilled yet because our code is holded here. And you can also check all the values at this particular point. Currently there is no value, so it is giving me all possible functions list which is of or no use. So if I simply pass this, so in order to pass this debug point, you can simply click on this play button. So now it has passed. If I go back here, as you can see, the loader has gone and we got hello message here. So this type of debug points you can put in your code and you can understand more about your code from here. So here, as you might have observed, that we don't need to write any console and we don't need to do anything, any changes in the code. Still we can control entire flow. So this is the good thing for developers. And you can also check the values at that particular point. So if I want to check request value, I can simply put debug points here, and if I refresh this, I'll get this type of object in front of us. So this is entire request object, and you can later on expand this and see what is inside of it. Okay, so that is really helpful. All right, so if this is not working for you, let's see another way to inspect your application. So let's close this entire thing. Now let me restart our server again. Okay, so now we just saw one way to debug, to see the debug data in our browser. So now let's see another way. So you have to install one extension, which is Chrome extension, that is nothing but its name is Node.js Inspector Manager. So you can simply search on it on Google. You will get to see this type of logo and this name. So get this extension installed in your browser, and then you will get to see, initially it will be like this. That means it will auto detect your web server. Just keep it manual, and then you will get to see this button is enabled for us. Now check your port number. Like I said, you will get to see that port number in your console message. Put that port number here. Put that port number here, and then see if everything is okay. Just simply click on the open Devtools. Well, this is the same thing which we saw in Chrome Inspect. So now we are getting few more tabs. Let's say information, performance, memory, and application, and also we get source file here. So we already put debug points, so it has collected the same data. So now if I go inside the console and let me see if it is working or not, I'll simply use this URL. As you can see, it has got stuck here, and let me pass it. I got response, and let's see the console. See, our console is also giving the same message. So with this way you can debug your entire backend code, and you can also profile your memory the same way you do in the front end. So you can take snapshot and you can play around. You can check your heap memory, as well as you can record its performance. You can do pretty much everything you want here. So I hope you might have understood this debug and inspect topic. So I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.